I am an artist living in beautiful Vermont, USA, and I have a lot of questions. So I engage the minds of the people that I meet, poets, writers, artists. I explore what's inside and share it with you. My name is Ricky McGeckran, and I am eager to know. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Eager to Know. I am pleased to have back Sean Roberon, who was probably about 15 episodes ago, and you were on the episode called The Theater Guy, and today we're going to be talking about something else. We're going to be talking about Boohurt, which is a form of armored combat. Sean, welcome back to Eager to Know.
Thank you for having me again.
I want to know what this is. Can you describe to me what Boohurt is?
It's called Boohurt, and it means to whack. It's an old Germanic French word. It's an armored combat sport, or a mixture of armored combat sports, because there's different ways of fighting and different types of fights that you can be in. And it's a competitive sport. It is not theatrical in the sense of like being performative or like in pro wrestling where
you're actually fighting.
Right.
Okay.
It's actual fighting.
Now, if someone to observe this, what would they be seeing? What would the people look like? How would they be dressed, and what would they be doing? How many people would they be looking at?
It depends on the event that you're going to, but generally speaking, you'll be coming to an event. There will probably be a cage or a list, as it's called, which is referring to the area in which the fighters are inside of for everybody's safety, because they're all swinging around a bunch of metal weapons. And often it'll be one fighter against another fighter in either what are called duels, which is a matched fight where both fighters bring in the same type of weapons, and it's all about the points of contact that you make on your opponent. And they'll have 3 one-minute rounds where they'll go at each other, and by the end of the third round, whoever has accumulated the most points against the other person wins. And then there's night fights, which are a little bit more aggressive and a little bit more subjective. People don't have to match the type of weapons during a night fight, so you might bring in a big axe, and I might bring in a buckler and a short sword, and we go at it then. And night fights are more subjective because there's more grappling, kicking, punching, and trying to take your opponents down to the ground.
All right. So just so everyone is clear, because I've witnessed this, you have been performing at all sorts of events around Bellows Falls, so I have got to see and hear this. So you have people that are completely covered with armor.
Oh, yeah, from
and then
head
you
to
have
toe.
Weapons that are metal, and someone is whacking someone with full force with metal on the armor, so it is really loud and it really draws a crowd, and I have never seen anything like it. It's really fascinating, and the kids loved it.
Yeah, the kids would love it because they just look at it and they see knights from all the fantasy or medieval movies that they've known, so kids can really get into it for that reason. And I think it's something that can be a community-based event. A lot of the time, these type of events usually draw in a lot of older adults and guys who are looking to watch a fight, like type of thing. Like that's usually the crowd. But we at Vermont Armored Combat in Brattleboro, our group, we really hope to establish this as something that families can come out to and make it a community-based type of program.
Meaning to observe.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are you looking for, when you look at what you are looking to expand and promote, are you looking for people to come and watch, or are you also looking for people to come and be battlers, fighters?
Both. Our group is very inclusive, and like our logo, for instance, is a hermit thrush, which is the Vermont state bird, but it has rainbow designs all over it, so then that way people who look at our logo can probably guess that we are a place of inclusion, and that the only thing to exclude is exclusion when it comes to like the types of people that we're looking for our group. If you're interested in being a fighter, or if you're interested in being support, just understand our group wants to make sure that everybody who joins into our club has a similar ideology when it comes to inclusion and diversity and allowing everybody to be whoever it is that they're going to be inside our club.
Okay. Have you ever been? No, I know it looks like you might have an eye injury, but have you? Which I know that you don't. But have you ever been injured? Is this something where someone could get injured?
Oh, very much so. Because people can bring in pretty heavy weapons in certain types of fights, like a pole arm, which is just looks like a staff with an axe head on the end of it. And there's a lot of leverage in those. And
so wait, you can just show up with whatever, or can you just is there like a standard checklist of items that you can bring?
There's expectations of rules that have been set of what a weapon can be.
Okay.
And like, you can't just have anything. Hammers are excluded from the sport just because like a war hammer or something like that was specifically made to potentially hurt someone who is encased in a bunch of armor, because you're just delivering enough of a blow over an area that you're going to shake them and hurt them inside the armor. So hammers aren't included. Anything that like a spear tip, that's not a thing, because there's no thrusting in the sport.
All right. So the thing that I remember was someone actually had an axe type thing, and they were just whacking the heck out of someone. And it's just so loud. Like, you don't hear metal, people swinging an axe and hitting metal on someone. That is such a weird thing to watch and experience. It was fascinating. Yeah, it was really. Now, how did you get into this? Because you have a background in theater. I know that you played, because in our previous interview, you talked about how you initially had done competitive sports. I know you were in football. Does this relate to that, or does this more relate to your theater background, or is this completely a new thing?
Well, I did some sports when I was much younger, but it was actually me getting beat up a lot when I was in elementary school, because I didn't have any friends at that time, and like groups of kids in the elementary school that I went to thought that I was weird. I was kind of an outcast. Like, I had a one-on-one because I wasn't great at staying focused in class and everything. So I was an oddball, and so I got beat up a lot. And that actually inspired me to want to be able to fight. And so over the years, I always fought when I had friends, and like, I've always found some level of enjoyment in it. And I think it stems from, like, at one point, the need to be able to fight. Okay. Now it's become something that I really enjoy doing.
Now, had you ever done martial arts? I know
little bits here and there,
like jiu-jitsu or.
Well, there was like some Aikido, some Taekwondo, what else? Wrestling and a little bit of boxing, like those types of things, but not a lot when it comes to going to classes for it.
Okay.
But finding opportunities to do lots of sparring and stuff like that with friends and others.
So for you, this is something that is about battle and fighting. It's that part of you that you are expressing. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I've always loved fighting, but I hate doing it out of anger. And that's something that's great about this sport, is that everybody involved in it is incredibly supportive.
Okay. Now, what kind of person, or a person that's interested in expressing what, would you recommend them looking into this?
If you're someone that needs to get some anger out, that's one thing. Like someone who might have issues when it comes to like pent up anger or energy in them. It's a healthy way to be able to get that out, because we swing as hard and as fast as we can.
So you are really swing as hard as you can, and when you get hit by that, how is it painful?
Depends.
Okay.
Everybody wears different levels of armor too, because there are rules of saying like what's the minimum when it comes to what people can wear. One of our members, who is the founder of the group, Will Alloway, they have a very lightweight kit compared to a lot of other fighters. Like, their kit only weighs 35 pounds, whereas generally they most of the time weigh around 60 plus. And so their arm, for instance, has like a single piece of metal going along here. they only take part in duels. They don't take part in like night fights or the big group fights, and they only fight with longsword and like arming sword and buckler or shield, much lighter weapons that allow you to not have to worry about potential pain as much. But the less you wear when it comes to your armor, the more you're going to feel it.
Now, what about, is anyone welcome in terms of, well, what's the age range? Let me ask the question that way.
Generally 18 plus.
18 plus.
In order to be able to fight in steel, it's 18 plus. But our hope is to start up classes for youth at some point where they won't be fighting in steel, but they'll be doing a lot of the stuff that we do when it comes to our training, like which involves a lot of softer foam armor and foam swords that you can then go at it without having to be in your huge metal kit hitting each other with steel. So running classes for youth eventually.
Can we look at this here?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, pick it up.
Okay. So,
and that's a long sword.
This is pretty cool. So I can imagine like swinging this as hard as you can. That would be a really weird experience in the world. Like that's not something that you normally get to do.
Right.
Swing a giant sword at another person as hard as you can.
Yep. And everybody hugs and shakes hands afterward too. Everybody's very happy to be fighting with one another.
All right, good.
And that's an important part of it for me. Like, because if the minute people are fighting out of anger, the minute people are upset during this game with me, I'm no longer enjoying myself. I don't want people to be angry in the sport with me. I'm doing this because it's something I love doing. It's something I really enjoy doing. And so it's a community. And I'm not interested in being so competitive that I'm angry with the people that I'm fighting against. And I hope I get that back. And, the majority of the time, that is what you get. Everybody's hugging and shaking hands.
Okay.
Just happy to have played with you.
Right. Is there anything else that you think people should know about what you're doing and what's being offered?
You don't even have to be someone that wants to fight in order to be involved in this sport. There's what are called support, which are the people that help everybody putting on and taking off their armor, because this stuff is not necessarily the easiest stuff to just kind of like throw on yourself real quickly when you're getting ready. So people who are capable of repairing pieces of armor that get damaged or anything like that. Like if you can play an instrument, I'm sure a group would be happy to have a bard. If you have any type of medical background, it'd be great to have somebody there who knows like just simple first aid for when people do end up getting bruises or cuts. But a lot of the time it's not that bad.
Okay.
And but just if you're looking to be involved but you don't think you want to be a fighter, you are some of the most valued people. It's kind of like in theater, the backstage people, the ones who are running the lights, the sound, all of those types of things. The show can't happen without them. Mm-hmm. And so they are absolutely necessary. And so if you're interested in helping and want to be part of that community, but not necessarily a fighter, you are greatly valued.
Okay. So people that are in the greater Rockingham, Bellows Falls, Saxons River area, if they're interested in getting involved, they would go where? You have a Facebook page?
Yeah, you could either reach out to our Facebook page, Vermont Armored Combat, or email me directly at worldunderwonder@gmail.com. And if you reach out to me directly, because I'm technically our vetter. Like my job is to be the person that communicates with new people first and send them our mission statement, and then be able to talk about that with the interested parties and determine whether they fit the bill to be part of our club.
Okay.
But yeah, if you're interested, contact me in one of those two ways. And keep an eye out on our Facebook for the different types of events that we have coming up. Like we just got done with an event at the library here in town.
I saw that.
They had us over for that. We've hosted our own events. We go and we take part in a lot of other groups' events. And we've got people that are coming from like Canaan, New Hampshire, or Burlington. There's one person coming from somewhere in New York. but we're the closest for people who are still like 2 hours away or something. Like we're still the closest group for them.
Gotcha. Sean, I know armoredcombatsports.com is a website that anybody, regardless of where you live in the country, can go to find out more about this sport.
And it'll have a map of wherever you are with all the different pins on it of different clubs that have given themselves over to the website to be shown, so then that way people can find a group that's closest to them. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, Sean, thank you for coming back. I think you are the first guest that I've had. No, you're the second guest that I've had back. Usually people don't come on Eager to Know twice. So
very different interests.
Very different, but you are an interesting guy with a lot of facets to you. So who knows what you're going to be on next time talking about. So Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My name is Ricky McGuckran, and you have been listening to Eager to Know, the podcast. If you haven't already, please go to Apple Podcasts and subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. Join me next week for another Eager to Know podcast.